What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. BobbyFi with my man Eric Sheets Haber. We are going to break down what's going to be a crazy NBA slate. My guess is we've got it's going to be weird at the end of the year, but I think we have about a week to 10 more days of this like craziness, and then you'll start seeing teams sort of tighten up the rotations for the playoff push and all that stuff. But Sheets, any overall thoughts before we jump into game by game? Because it's another big one.
Yeah, I mean, it's, your normal NBA. I mean, I actually think that the early preview is more, I don't want to say more important, but in a way more important than the live before lock thing. Again, I think about this a lot, and I really try to look at it in terms of a user and someone who's looking for content and stuff. And I always, when I was looking at the live before lock stuff, I mean, first of all, it gives the impression that's like the last word, but first of all, it isn't anymore anyway, because it should be like live through like the end of time. I just got pause for just a second. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, and I just remember it was even more important to get a view of like what the slate was supposed to look like good plays in general, because it's such a scramble in that last half an hour. I mean, it's kind of fun for people who like to watch chaos, unravel as it happens. But unless you're willing to stay and do it like the whole night, I mean, I don't know. We'll continue to figure out. Like they say, you try to figure everything out your whole life, and usually figure it out like literally the day you die. So maybe one day we'll figure out exactly the best way to do this. But I actually do like the early previews.
Yeah, and a lot of times some of this information that can get lost in the scramble is still very valuable. So especially I find that on Fanduel, by the way.
Like right now, for example, like I have two guys who I can't imagine a world where they're not in 100% of lineups. And they're going to be extremely chalky, extremely popular. And who knows? Maybe at 7:30 they're not even plays. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. All right. Well, let's jump into it, and we'll go game by game because I think it's the best way to do it. Why don't you pull up your screen and we will get started.
Oh, okay. Let me. I thought I had done that. Share this one. Okay.
So. First game we're going to talk about is the Battle of New York. I'm sort of on this kind of a slate, especially because I'd either wait or rather play a different first game. I'm not really in love with anything here unless we get some people out. I think as always, James Harden is always a strong play, and probably the only guy I'm going to end up rostering from this game. Some people are going to like this Lamarcus Aldridge thing. I would like to remind people they played yesterday. It's been a pretty well-known thing for a while now. Aldridge, maybe it's a Spurs thing partially, but doesn't usually play on back-to-backs. And even if he does play, I think you might see him limited, even though Blake is going to be out and all that. So I'm not going to go for the Aldridge thing, at least at this moment. It's really just James Harden or nothing else for me.
Yeah, I'll add that I might flick in some Randall from the other side. Mm-hmm. It's because Brooklyn still doesn't play defense, and Randall still likes to score a lot and do a lot, and you get a thing going with Randall and Harden back and forth maybe. But I still think Harden below 11K is just basically really cheap, regardless of the matchup, regardless of anything else, regardless of whether Kyrie's playing or whatever. You give me Kyrie and Durant back, then I'll talk about not paying 10-9 for him. But he's such a triple-double machine nowadays. You know what I mean? He's not like, Westbrook triple-double machine, like, but he's really, really good. And he's definitely one of the top spends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm happy we didn't get involved in the Kyrie stuff while Harden was out, because as I was trying to point out before, it's very hard for Kyrie at this price to really smash. You know what I mean? Like, he had a monster game yesterday, but he had 54 fantasy points. Anyway, yeah, it's just James Harden from this game for me. I understand the Randall thing. He played great against them last time. There definitely is a little bit of I feel like the Knicks play every game really, really hard, but that game especially was kind of a brutal loss for them. So I don't mind the Randall thing. I just don't think I'll do it myself.
Want to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
So another kind of easy game. I mean, for me, it seems kind of easy. Like I don't think I want to play anybody on Dallas except for Luka. And I kind of would. He for now rates below a couple of other spends for me, but he's still Luka. You know what I mean? Like I say, if they make the mistake of letting you off 10% or something like that, I'm gonna be kind of forced to try it. And on the Utah side, nothing is really standing out with the possible exception. Like if you get, I mean, you probably are going to get a kind of a low-owned Gobert, right? Because the center position, I mean, everybody's going to jam in what's his face from Detroit. So I feel as though maybe you can get Gobert like to creep down to 10% range. I think, you know, he's always he might be a good play. I don't think I'm gonna do anything else though. So for me, it's either Luka and Gobert, one of the two, or nothing.
Yeah, I think Gobert is probably a more popular play on Fanduel. I think he'll be pretty popular over there because it's weird at center. But we really don't know. You know, I'd like to know about Porzingis, which we should know before the game. If he is out, I will say that Luka would jump ahead of Harden for me. Still below one other guy, but well, depending on what happens there. But,
two other guys maybe.
But Luka is definitely the guy who I would prefer, and I actually think that as it stands right now, I think I might even prefer Luka on FanDuel over Harden. So I do like the Gobert play. This is the kind of matchup where we like to play Gobert. It's not overwhelmingly fast-paced. It's bigs tend to destroy, lots of rebound opportunities for him. Nobody who can really match up with him. Feels like a really good spot for Gobert. So I'm into Gobert.
Yep. Anything else in this game or no?
No, I don't want. I mean, Josh Richardson being out things could open up a little bit if Richardson and Porzingis are out. Actually, you know what? I do think Maxi Kleber, especially if Porzingis is out, but I think he's totally in play anyway at 4.1. Maybe in addition to or instead of some of the other chalk that's going to come up.
Washington, Toronto, we're still. I mean, it's still the wait on Bradley Beal show, right? And has he played yet?
No, not in the last 4 games.
Yeah. And if he remains out, then does Westbrook go above to the top? Maybe.
Oh, I don't even think it's close. I know there's been a couple bad games where they had some really, really rough outings, but I don't think it's even close with
I guess so.
Especially in the matchup.
And I don't like anybody else. I don't like anybody else in Washington, I don't think. Because do we have to, I mean, I'm saying if Beal is out, we're going to watch starting lineups again. And I think we've proven it. I don't think that any of these ancillary pieces has really smashed. You know what I mean? Since to the point where you had to have them. So I'm not too worried about missing out on the Demi Avdija game or the Jerome Robinson game or the Raul Neto game or whatever, or the whoever. I just think it's Westbrook. But we always have to ask, like, if Beal plays, number one, do you still play Westbrook? And number 1A, do you play Beal?
I'll play a little bit of Westbrook. I don't know how much of Beal I'll be getting into on DraftKings. I might consider him more on FanDuel, but I don't think it's a terrible idea. I kind of agree about the other stuff, but not entirely. I do think that it's not that nobody's done, because a lot of the guys hit value. Like Chandler Hutchinson, I think had like 15x one. Or no, didn't he? No, it wasn't 15. It was just a good night. Yeah, it was only, never mind. It was only like 7x. But the problem is that Bertans is also back now. It is a back-to-back, so if he might sit, so like if there's multiple other guys sitting, then I would maybe take some shots. But they did get blown out yesterday, and nobody played a ton of minutes, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, so for me, on Toronto, I mean, you got to watch the news of these guards. I mean, like if Van Vliet is in, for example, Van Vliet, I'm presuming Lowry's out, right? So it's Van Vliet and Siakam. I like them both. If unfortunately, if Van Vliet is ruled out, then you got some more chalk. You're going to have like Malachi Flynn chalk, right? That's probably what's going to end up happening if Van Vliet's ruled out. So we have to keep an eye on that. Currently, I am not getting too like, and a newbie, assuming that Van Vliet and Siakam are in. If Van Vliet is out, then again, just the usage just spreads. So you're going to have to then use guys like that. I wonder if Trent just seems boy, he has scored 40 in his last 2 games. I was about to say 6,600 seems like a little expensive. But you know what else? I think that if Lowry's not Lowry, if Van Vliet is out, maybe I'll go to him. And I didn't get to Boucher on this attempt. Maybe I'll look later. But for me, it's just Van Vliet and Siakam right now.
It's Van Vliet, Siakam, and a newbie for me. I like all of them. I want to play these 3 with Westbrook if there's no, and then if we get Bertans or anybody else extra out, I will consider some other players from Washington. Probably if there's no Beal and Bertans, just I think that the next guy I would go to is Neto. He's actually been consistently around in that 20 to 25 range, which is totally fine with us, obviously here. And he and Westbrook will play together, so. That's where I'm at right now currently. The weird part is with Ish Smith being back, I don't know how that fits. So maybe I wouldn't do that. Just started thinking out loud on that one. And I said,
Ish Smith is on what team now?
He's on Washington.
You say it that way. He's like on a different team every like 6 months.
Right, but he's been on Washington the whole season. I mean, for the last.
Okay. Well, that's a big deal. I mean, if Beal is out, then
Well, but Beal was out already, and we had no Neto, no Ish Smith. And no Bertans, and you were saying you didn't want to play those guys anyway. So
no, what I meant was that I was wondering if you have to play Ish Smith if Beal is out.
Well, would it be Ish? I mean, I think it would be a conversation between Smith and Neto. Okay. Ish Smith did play. They did have one day off. I was sorry, they played Saturday, not yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So maybe Ish Smith would be pretty viable because he did play 22 minutes in that game, and if he can get up to 24, 26, if there's no BL, I think that's kind of interesting. The problem is he and Westbrook don't exactly positively correlate. I see Westbrook playing more with Neto in general, so I don't know. But I love Van Vliet. No matter what, if Van Vliet's in, and I'm loading up on Van Vliet is my favorite. Siakam second, and Anunoby third. Gary Trent on Fanduel would be my second favorite at 5,400.
Cleveland, San Antonio is not for me. So if you have anything from there, you can just chime it in. But I have nothing.
Well, Taurean Prince might be playing 1 million minutes here, and he's 3,800. I think that he's going to project to like 8x. So yeah, I definitely am interested in Taurean Prince. As long as they start.
Is the whole country's out? Is that what's happening?
I mean, there's a lot of guys out, but they're playing him again. That's the most important. You know, he played 33 minutes in the last game.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
13. Yeah, he would have 10x this price, so he could end up being the best value on the slate.
Oh, that's really funny.
But
early runs are really all over the place for me. So
yeah,
with 25 fantasy points, I look 15. So I got to see what's going on here.
Yeah, it's tricky with him because he's you really don't know what to expect. And I didn't watch that game the other night that they had. I don't tend to watch a ton of Cleveland games, but I think it was fairly competitive against Miami, and he played well in that. And you know, there's nothing drastically huge that you're sure of here, but you've got guys like Hartenstein getting minutes, and Kevin Love's only going to play 24 or less probably. Coro will get minutes. Osman has been sort of a little bit the odd man out, there's no Larry Nance, a lot of the other guys that they would play here. So I think Taurean Prince is in play. Also, I think that they're still sort of flirting with what to do with him.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that.
And your boy Windler is out, which is probably actually the biggest.
Oh my God, that drives the whole slate. That Dylan Windler being.
You know what's crazy is Sheets. It actually kind of does. Like if Windler was in, Taurean Prince wouldn't be projecting anywhere like he is, at least some places. And then on the other side, this seems like a weird thing to say out loud, but like I find myself kind of interested in DeRozan as a low-owned option. I think there's a lot of chalk that's going to go a lot of places, maybe more on FanDuel. But I just find that I feel like they're going through him a lot. They're making their playoff push. The usage is really good. It's been above 27 for the last 4 games, above 30 twice in that period, above 30 4 times the last 8 games. I just feel like with that kind of usage against a team that's pretty weak defensively, even though they don't play very fast, that we could see DeRozan have a really nice night here. So he's a little bit of a, not off the board, but he's going to be a very low on play. So I do like DeRozan a little bit, but nobody else for me.
Yeah, I gotta do some work on this Taurean Prince thing because like I'm looking at a couple of places. One place has him at 18 minutes, and you're saying that and RG some like people have like 30, right? I mean, like so I gotta see what's going on.
Yeah, well, and it is probably worth noting that, well, actually, no, I mean, that was a couple days ago. But he did just play 30 and they played kind of okay, which is for Cleveland pretty good. So if he's in the starting lineup, I'm definitely going to have some interest, I think. But I don't even know. Did they bring him off? I just got to double check real quick. Did they bring him off the bench in that game?
We can check this.
Okay, let's check it real quick. Just because it's going to matter. I mean, if he's going to play 30 minutes, it's going to be hard to just say, okay, we don't want to play him, at nearly minimum.
Hang on a minute, let me just.
As somebody once told me, he's actually like kind of a real life basketball player.
Taurean Prince is?
Kind of. He's probably not going to start. I just realized that I forgot about Love being in there.
Yeah, okay. Taurean Prince did not start. He was basically in, was that a blowout or what was?
I mean, he lost by 14, but I thought I remember seeing that it was close-ish at one point, and it was against a pretty good Miami team, but maybe I was wrong about that. The weekend ones are tough when you don't play him. Sometimes I'm just double checking. He just played a lot of minutes and played well, I guess.
Well, he got the whole fourth quarter is what happened. Well, he got the last 16 minutes of the game pretty much.
Yeah, but he played 16 in the first half also.
He did.
So, okay. So we'll probably figure out a little bit more on that one a little later. I don't know.
Oh, so look who, yeah. So Hartenstein didn't get it. He played only 5 minutes in the first half.
Right. And that's strange because they actually, as a team that goes big, that would, I use it. I mean, Hartenstein is one of those guys who could literally end up with 0 minutes. Like probably ends up around 15, but there's a lot of other guys they could throw in there. They could throw Osman in there. They've done some weird stuff. They've shuffled in Broderick Thomas and Damian Dotson at times and Lamar Stevens. So let's keep an eye out just to see what their lineup looks like before it happens. I'm still not completely sold about everybody who's playing for them yet. Why are they playing Kevin Love? You know what I mean? They're not going to play many minutes, but
they played what? But they played him a shitload. Not this last game, but they played him like 16 minutes in the first half.
Who?
Cleveland, like a couple of games ago.
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he only played 20 minutes.
Yeah, but the question is might they have brought him back in if the game got close? I don't know.
I think that he has on a hard minute cap from what I heard pretty much across everything. There's literally no motivation for them to play him more than in any way, not just because of tanking, for any reason. Just you don't want him to get hurt. Like you still have him under contract. They can't trade him, obviously. So
I mean, as I was watching this game, like this was nuts. So he played almost the whole first quarter, and then he came back in when what's his name? So what happened was Hartenstein got like 3 fouls. I remember this because I had Hartenstein. He got 3 fouls, and they pulled him out. And I guess that's they put Love back in for Hartenstein. That's how those extra 6 or 7 minutes or so in the first half came in. Then they started him in the second half, and then they just never brought him back in. I just wonder if it was a hard minutes cap at 20, or if they would have run him back for another 8 minutes if the game was closer. I doubt it, right?
Yeah, I mean, he only played 24 in the next game, which was more competitive. Yeah. I don't think.
All right, so Detroit, OKC. As big of the news as it was that Dylan Windler is out, the biggest news, I guess, is that Mason Plumlee is out, right? So not only are you going to get, probably 30. They have, aside from him, aside from Isaiah Stewart, there's basically Tyler Cook that could play minutes at the 5, unless they want to do something funny.
They really don't need to play anyone at the 5, especially, to be honest with you.
Well, but that could be, but
they'll play Stewart. I mean, look, Stewart's a great play. I think that's.
He's going to be 30 minutes plus, and as good of a play as he is at 4K on DraftKings, I mean, he's like less power forward eligible on Fanduel, which is so that gets locked in, I presume. So in addition to that, you could probably play Jeremy Grant again. Maybe not as much on DraftKings, but on FanDuel again, he's under 7K in power forward. You could play him and Isaiah Stewart together if you want over there. I think that the guards and everything else on Detroit's a little bit fuzzy now.
Too many guys.
Yeah, it's a little bit fuzzy. Like even Killian Hayes is back.
Yeah.
I mean, you could try to guess at what's going to happen, but I think that's kind of asking for it. You know, who had a great game the other day was Josh Jackson. I forget which game it was. He shot the lights out for like 2 full quarters or something like that. It's so impossible to believe that DraftKings won't even let me pull up the game log to prove it. That's how impossible.
21 from the floor, 4 for 7 from 3 at 43 fantasy points.
Yeah,
they have a bunch of heat check guys, and
that's
they only have 2 guys who are going to play minutes that we know of, and that's Jeremy Grant and Sadiq Bey. I like Sadiq Bey.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the OKC side, it's same shit. You know what I mean? Like you have. So I guess Moses Brown is out. Is that why Tony Bradley's a great play? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, we have no Brown. I'm looking at my starting lineups real quick because
Tony Bradley. So I'm just looking what I have.
They must have more. No, that's with Brown that they have 8 bodies. That's not right. There's something missing here.
Tony Bradley, Kenrich Williams. These are all those guys that haven't played here. Svi, Puka, and
Moses Brown is in though. I don't know why we thought he was out.
I don't know why either. I don't know why.
I guess
Tony Bradley's popping all these points here from. I don't know.
He played less minutes. Let me just I'm sorry. We might have to check this one out. Portland and Phoenix on a back-to-back. I see why he may have played less on the front and back end of the back-to-back, but I'm guessing that one of those was probably.
Well, that was annoying because you know what? That was actually Moses Brown revenge. I don't know if anybody even knew that.
I don't even know if he knew that.
Yeah, right. No, Portland's the one they had him. They wouldn't bring him up. They kept him in the G League for forever. Yeah, not forever, for like a whole year, I think.
Actually, I think Moses Brown is interesting tonight. Like, I actually think this is a good spot for him, and those minutes might have been the back. And look, they lost by 48 points in the second game against Portland, so throw that one out. And they lost by 37 against Phoenix. And Detroit is not a team that I expect to beat anybody by that many points. So I think Moses Brown is actually a really good play, and I think that the minutes projections that might be under 30 for him, I think you can just bump up to over 30 for him.
I'm gonna agree to disagree on that one.
Why is that? They just signed him to a long-term contract.
I got you. So I think Tony Bradley's just as, I mean, I don't know.
Rent a player, Tony Bradley. They have no interest in him.
Okay.
But I actually don't think Bradley's necessarily a bad play at 3.5. I mean, sure, you can play Bradley at 3.5. I personally love the idea of playing Moses Brown when I think he's being misprojected because the upside is just immense, especially against a fellow rookie in a Detroit team that can't rebound. So
yeah, I can't do it at 7K.
I think he's a great. I mean, but we've been playing him at 7K. He's actually.
I've been playing with 7K.
He's averaging. So he's averaging, just to give it away for the thing. He's averaging what, 40 fantasy points a game for the month.
I got you.
The last month. So I'm just saying, like, I'm all into the. I'm definitely into Moses.
Well, it's the average of 40, but that's skewing those first couple. You know what I mean?
Well, no, there's a bunch of them in there, but this situation. They have less bodies now than they've had of any of those days. This is the least bodies they've had available of any game so far.
I just can't imagine playing him at 71 over Isaiah Stewart. Over Isaiah Stewart at 4K. I really think they're similar.
You're playing him in addition to Isaiah Stewart.
Ooh, and now we're getting somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, and this game is going to become somewhat stackable. I mean, you're going to play guys you have to play. I think you're going to want to try and play 2 guys from OKC.
You know who's going to be in play at 3K is Darius Miller.
Darius Miller is 100% in play. Ranking these guys is something very hard to do this early in the day. And also I'd like to see the starting lineup, but I would go, if I had to do it right now, I would say Pokievsky for tournaments is the highest. I like his upside. Bradley, Pokievsky, then Ty Jerome, then Bradley, then Maladon, then Miller.
I have 9 eligible players here.
And Svi is really cheap on Fanduel. Who's your 9th one? I've got Miller, Bradley.
Oh, that's right. Now it's 8 because Jackson's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 players. I mean, you got to play 4 of them now, right? I mean, like you just.
Yeah, I just would say that Darius Miller, while he might pop off in projections, just remember he's only played 20 minutes once in the last couple of years. So he might be the guy who ends up playing only 18, 20 minutes while the other.
Okay. And if he plays 18 or 20 minutes, the math is kind of rough because then everybody else is really pretty much. Everybody else really is at 40. I mean, like, it's like.
Yeah, he's pretty much a standstill shooter. I like Ty Jerome a lot, though. I can get behind him. I just believe in him as a player, even though he'll have some up and down games. they're going to need guys to do things, and it's not all going to be able to fall on Maladon. So OKC's whole team makes a lot of sense, but I really like the earlier. It sucks to like the early games the best, but that's what I feel today. Actually, you know what? We only have the one late game. Never mind. I didn't realize it was in this. Great. That's great. It's like a turbo slate.
Maybe you're right. Maybe the Moses he's going to play 30 minutes. He might.
He was before, and those were. I mean, look, he played 20 whatever, and they were. I mean, that's not even.
That was before the rent-a-player came.
But that's also a double blowout. His normal minutes are 30 to 34 in my opinion. So that's where I've got him. I'm gonna just put him at 30 minutes. There's no reason he should be the guy second should play the lowest, the fewest minutes on this team when he's the one that they actually just bought into and signed him to a long-term deal.
No, I think that well, you could look at it two ways, right? You could say why wear him out if you're a big old center who could always tear an ACL, playing him a zillion minutes when the team's never going to win. Because
the contract's not so big and they still want to see where they're at for the offseason and just let him get his reps in, I think. That's just my take on it.
I think it's going to be closer to 24 with Bradley.
But it's never been, just to say, I mean, that's completely, they've made it very clear that is not what they're doing. Okay. It would have to be a 40-point blowout for that to happen. Virtually without foul trouble, there's virtually, in my opinion, almost no way that can happen. But that's just my take. All right, Sacramento, Minnesota. This is the highest total on the slate. And I'm having trouble getting to a lot of these guys, and I'm not sure that's a good idea. What do you think, Sheets?
Well, Towns' rating for me is the best spend on the slate.
So you like Towns bet? You'd rather play Towns at the same price essentially as
Harden, yeah.
Those guys.
Okay.
I
don't know. I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm just saying what it's rating right now. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and also you could play. I'm just thinking of as far as construction goes. And the problem is that if you do play Towns, it takes up one of the center spots, which is pretty bad to do. Mm-hmm. But then what happens is you can play him with not McLaughlin, whatever his name is.
Yeah, McLaughlin.
Yeah, with McLaughlin and that works out pretty nicely actually. And then you can play the both of them with Fox and have a nice little thing there. That's why, I don't know. He's right now rating higher. I don't like where the ownership's heading on this thing though. On Cat, if he actually is, 35% owned plus, which is possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather just, if Beal's out, I'd rather just play Westbrook than Towns.
So Cat's, here's the argument also against him. Look, this is the great matchup for him. This is the best matchup basically you're going to get, except for Washington.
Is it the best matchup he's going to get?
Oh yeah, the centers, have just literally massacred. Anytime Rashawn Holmes is on the other side,
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, Rashawn Holmes, look, energy and all that stuff, but guys like him and Harold don't know how to play defense.
Okay.
Actual fundamental defense. And anybody, and so I just point out though, Harden, Westbrook, you can go down their game logs, Luka, you can find the 60s and 70s all over the place.
Yeah.
You can find 170 all season for Karl Anthony Towns. And, he got close another time. And that was in an overtime game against a Philly team that had no big men.
You know what else you have? You have freaking Anthony Edwards.
Against a Philly team that was that against? Hold on, was that against Embiid? No, that was not. That was the second back of the back-to-back, right? I don't think Embiid. I actually need to double check. No, but I think Embiid did play in that game. Wow, he had a monster game. Jesus. But it was an overtime game, I believe, because he played 45 minutes. So. So I get the Towns thing, but with the ownership, all things considered, there is no way I'm playing it. He's not the same fantasy producer those other guys are, even though he's great. And I've been arguing him on the other side that he could always outdo them, but that was when he was 2 and 3% owned. Now we've got him at mega chalk, and he's been great. But I don't need 50s for my guys to be great. I need 70s probably from the big guys.
The other thing is that let's just compare. If he feels like it, or if he's in the mood. Like the other guy on that team also, Minnesota, who's the other guy? Beasley, whatever.
He's going
to crank up shots also. Like if Westbrook has the ball and there's no Beal on the court, there's just no way anybody's shooting the ball. I mean, you know what I mean? Like Westbrook just owns the whole freaking court, And Towns.
Westbrook doesn't even really, to be honest with you, he doesn't really shoot the ball that much in these situations.
He just owns the court, is what I'm saying. He gets every rebound. He gets every assist.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like he gets everything.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And so now with Beal in, it's a little different. And like I said, Harden with what's his name, Kyrie in, it's a little different.
But what if you get Luka with no Porzingis?
But what if you get Luka with no Porzingis? Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Luka just can dominate. But you know, the funny thing is and I've seen in the last couple of weeks like the difference between these two guys. Like Luka does there's really nothing like Westbrook with no Beal. There really isn't. I mean, the guy's ridiculous. I mean, like he's because like not only he's like aggressive about it too. Like he gets the rebound. He like just it's like amazing. It's just really amazing.
It is amazing to watch. Edwards is actually the guy who I would lean towards at lower ownership. We have no Rubio point guard, so no ball domination. We have no Beasley. I'm absolutely happy to throw Anthony Edwards in a prime matchup here at lower ownership than.
Well, before we forget, I mean, we just kind of glossed over it, assuming everybody knew what we were talking about. But with Rubio is out, like McLaughlin's like a total smash play. I mean, he's going to be really, really chalky on both sides, but for good reason. You got a starting point guard against Sacramento. He's going to play 30 minutes. I mean, it's you know what I mean? Like it's somebody you have to play.
But except for on Fanduel, I think that there's a really good argument to spending up at both point guards.
Okay, yeah, we could talk about that when we get over.
Yeah, and then honestly, on the Sacramento side, we should have interest in these guys. Okay, like we should. It's a great matchup again for these guys, but they're pretty healthy. We haven't seen that big game out of Fox in a while. I think Buddy Hield, this is like a team that gives up a bunch of threes, and Buddy Hield is always a guy I like to, when he gets below 6K, and he hasn't had a big one in a while, but I still would take a shot there. I wish I would like the run backs better. I just don't feel great about anybody else. Buddy Hield and Fox would be my two picks, but I don't love it.
Yeah, but this is obvious. Wow, this is amazing. This is actually, you know what? I actually like this slate. You want to know why? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, all at 7:00.
Yeah, this is what's great. And then there's only one game after, and it's at 8.
But and then like I'm telling you, don't have to commit your whole night to late slot. I love it.
Beautiful.
I love it.
I'm with it too. I'm totally with you. What do we think about Phoenix, Houston? Houston's gonna have a bunch of guys out.
Are they?
Well, yeah. At least Wall's out. I guess not a bunch of guys actually. They've actually been sort of in this situation quite a bit before. And what I was gonna say is they priced up a lot of people. I think Christian Wood's gonna be really popular on FanDuel, but not popular on DraftKings. I think Kelly Olynyk is fine. But I'm not, and I think Kevin Porter is he's fine. It's getting a little bit to that uncomfortable price range where I don't think that I'm going to do it. I would rather try to play Anthony Edwards, for example, just because there's still enough bodies they have out there, and they're playing DJ Augustine minutes for some unknown reason. Yeah, I'm not very interested in this game outside of maybe DeAndre Ayton. And again, it's a center spot.
I'm not getting to any Houstons, I think, on DraftKings. And I don't know if I'm getting any Phoenixes either. Like the only Phoenix I'm getting to is like someone who just I told you, just always shows up and just never performs, and that's Cameron Payne. Mm-hmm. Forgive me, but I'll find the extra 200 from McLaughlin if I'm going to play in Payne. And that's pretty much it. I mean, like it's not a lot of interest in this game.
Yeah, it would be if we were starved for value. I think Cameron Payne would be an awesome play, but we have so much other value that I don't think.
Is it the first end of the back-to-back? Do you any chance you get any Chris Paul nonsense or no?
It is. I don't know if it's the first end of a back-to-back. Probably is because they haven't played in a number of days. I'll double check. But
look, they finally did it to Booker. Booker at 9K is back.
Yeah, but the main reason why it would be appealing is because this game should be an absolute. I mean, Phoenix should absolutely torch them.
Yeah, this is a disaster.
And if that happens, Payne will then get a ton of run. But I don't think that we can do it with the other value on the slate, and I don't think you need to go down there. But it's not the worst if you were super going over the top, getting all the value. That would make some sense. All right, let's talk FanDuel.
Yeah, so let's go to FanDuel, and we can go position by position over there. Let me just shut this. Okay. All right. You want to start at point guard?
Yeah. Not really interested in paying down much outside of McLaughlin and Maladon. My main strategy, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be to pay up and play the ceiling guys with Westbrook and Luka. Maybe if I do throw a cat lineup in, I would consider Fox over here, because I don't love the point guard as much. I think Chris Paul probably has a good game, but again, I don't think that game's going to stay close. So I have a pretty tight pool of Westbrook, Luka, and then McLaughlin and Maladon, and I would probably play those together in that order. You know what I mean? I'd play Maladon with a McLaughlin, and I'd play just to get different, because I think most people are going to pay up for one of Westbrook and them, and then play McLaughlin. I would rather pay down where I play McLaughlin and then pay up where I play Westbrook. You could also include Derek White into your mix, and he's actually been pretty solid, but I don't think I'm going to do that today.
So fine, it's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say that although I'm not going to play him today, I think I like Derek White a little more than Maladon.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to play either. For me, I agree with your top four in no particular or McLaughlin, Westbrook, Luka, and Fox. I'm going to go a little different way than your way, and I'm going to play, instead of McLaughlin with one of the two, I might maybe fade them both and just play McLaughlin with Fox. Just make some other things work.
Okay.
Again, that's kind of asking for it, but
Well,
like,
I like
if you get Porzingis and Beal out, that's definitely asking for it.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll have to revisit that. But that's this is like my shadow build for now, though.
Yeah, and I got you. And at shooting guard, I really, I like this position a lot today, to be honest. I mentioned DeRozan as sort of an off the board-ish play, but I really like Anthony Edwards too. But what about, Ty Jerome I'll take over Svi, but Svi is going to play 1 million minutes in his 3.8, so I have more interest than I normally would. I would rather play Ty Jerome. He's also going to play a lot of minutes and does a few more things out on the court. Will be lower owned. But Gary Trent, Fred VanVleet are both awesome plays at these prices, assuming that Fred VanVleet plays. And then you've got the Harden situation. So those are my guys here.
If same question as before, if Beal plays, would you consider Beal at the 8,800?
I would consider him, but I like this position a lot, so I don't really see the need to try and cram him in, even though I like the matchup. I think that he and VanVleet, I think VanVleet will outscore Beal most of the time here, and he's 7,400.
Yeah, I like VanVleet if he plays, and as will the rest of the United States of America. And I like Svi for the reasons you mentioned, as will a decent amount of the United States of America. But if people played Harden and Beal, Harden, maybe some parts of the United States of America won't play one of those two. So maybe we'll see. But that's why I like VanVleet and Svi as my two top ones.
Yeah.
Small forwards are a little sketchy.
Jerome, just saying right now.
I'll include him in there.
Okay, cool. Small forward.
Small forwards are a little sketchy, no?
Yeah, well, I love OG, so it's not, that part of it is easy for me.
Okay.
I like his role and what they're doing lately. I love the matchup against Washington more than any I could imagine, and you like him more than Kevin Porter? Yes.
Okay.
And I like Porter too a little bit. But then then we get into Kenrich, Sadiq Bey, but I think Sadiq Bey is the right play. I like Kenrich. Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, I'm back and forth between Kenrich and Sadiq Bey right now, actually.
Yeah, I'm just gonna side with Bey, just because even though Kenrich has been playing more, and they need to have guys to play minutes. Obviously, he still hasn't played 30 minutes, and he's expected to play more than that. And Sadiq Bey plays 30 minutes every night when the games aren't blowouts, which they've been a little bit lately. So I'll take the Sadiq Bey a little bit over him, even though, again, he's more of a shooter, but he can do some other things too. It's just he's just young, so that's where he's at now. But OG and one of those guys, I think Darius Miller is a little bit of a reach, because you could play Kenrich at 1,200 more. And I know it sounds like a lot, but on FanDuel, it's pretty easy to get in the things you want. First of all, I didn't realize that for some reason I had Porter at 7,200 in my head. He's 6,200. I actually do think Porter's a much better play than I originally thought. So that's obviously a lot more reasonable. But those are my guys. Yeah, OG, then one of Porter, Bey, or Kenrich.
The power forward, I alluded to this earlier. Isaiah Stewart at this position is a very strong chalk play, 3,700. Then for your second one, not you only have to play one lineup, but I'm between kind of four guys. So hopefully you can help me sort them out. Kind of different price, well, sort of different price tags. So Siakam, Wood, Randall, and Jeremy Grant. Like those are the next, and I can't really separate them. They're all a little different. You like any of those more than the other? Did I miss anybody big? What do you think?
It would be Wood, but the problem for me with Wood is that not only would it be popular, they're going to get smashed here. And because of that, I'll just point out that Christian Wood, which for 8K, you want to have an upside of 50. He hasn't had a game of 50 since January. And everybody plays him every game at 8.5, 88, and all that. And yeah, maybe he gets it tonight. I don't see any reason that he would against one of the best defensive teams in the league. So I will try to skip that stuff. I like Poku. I like Poku, Siakam. That would be my way of going. And also I like a little, because of Westbrook on the other side and the fact that I'm playing I just am trying to attack Washington and they're down Lowry obviously in Toronto. So I'm just trying to take advantage of it. So I do like Jeremy Grant. I'm sorry, Pascal Siakam is a little bit expensive. The one thing is though that Julius, when you start to get that close to Julius Randle's price, maybe we should be playing Julius Randle over here. Yeah, I think maybe that's the simplest answer.
For me, there's two ways to go over at center, and you were right about the ownership of Gobert. He wasn't going to be one of them actually. Like for me, it was going to be well, it's interesting. So it's if you don't pay for any of those great guards that we talked about before, you could play Cat here. But again, then you have to have that same discussion about Cat versus Luka and Westbrook, given everything that we've talked about, right? Mm-hmm. What I would do is this side. This ownership can't be real. I mean, I'll take my shot at Boucher at 5K over here. That'll be what I do.
Real. I mean, we got to realize. Well, this is a great matchup for Chris Boucher, by the way. But I mean, most of this time we got to understand he's going to fail 75% of the time that he plays.
Yeah, I guess so.
But he's going to play 15 minutes sometimes, like 12 minutes sometimes.
Yeah. So the two things I'm going to do. So then there's Boucher, and then the other thing I'll do is, like I said, like some people play Gobert, like kind of in the middle. What I want to sneaky do here is maybe play Rashad Holmes. So that would be those are my two kind of low-owned guys with Boucher and Holmes. Or I'll pay all the way up for Cat. I don't know if I'm gonna do Gobert over here.
It's so funny that you mentioned Holmes because I had him on my original, like my first build that I did this morning early, and I don't think I'm going to end up doing it, but it is funny that you mentioned him because I think he's going to be very, very low owned. I'm Cat, Olynyk, and Brown. Those are my guys.
Okay.
I understand the Boucher thing because I think that actually if you don't play the other Toronto guys, that it is the kind of matchup where you could see Boucher going off, right? Like the shot blocking, the steals, the transition, no defense and no interior dunks, shooting threes. Like there's a lot of things he can do. It's just, you never know what you're going to get out of those minutes, but this is the kind of matchup you'd think that does scream a little bit of Boucher. So I don't mind that call actually on this one. It's just a wild, like he versus Olynyk where we have more of an idea with Kelly O what to expect. He's going to play minutes. He's going to play 28 to 32 minutes. And the problem a little bit with him is he doesn't have a ton of block steal upside, although he's been pretty good lately with it, or at least decent in getting one or two.
Who's that?
Kelly Olynyk.
Okay.
But guys who tend to be more 3-point oriented, it's a little bit, I always just want to sort of steer clear of him on Fanduel a little bit more, but he has put up 40 twice in the last 4 games. And that obviously would be good enough tonight.
Yep.
All right. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in with us. We look forward to catching up with you guys a little later and let's crush it today.
Sounds good.